You're listening to the Womanpreneur podcast. Empowerment in business and life.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Womanpreneur podcast. My name is Melissa Moats, and I am hanging out here today with my amazing friend and podcast partner extraordinaire, Amanda McEwen.
Extraordinaire. I like it. I like it a lot, yeah. I think it elevates me a little bit.
You are extraordinary, though. Mm-hmm. I just want you to know.
Earlier this week, Brent actually made a comment about a photo I had posted, and he said, from now on, every photo of you should be taken from that angle. And I said, okay, so I'm going to have to channel my inner diva from now on. And
I want to see this photo.
Yeah, apparently it was a production set photo, so it was a little bit different. I got to float this week because I had to stand in for talent, and there was a dolly scene where I had to float, so it was good. But yeah, so I have to, learn how to channel my inner diva, which Brent also commented is probably still incredibly humble. He used different words. I think it was humble AF.
I love it.
Yeah. So
humble diva.
Yeah.
I like it.
I could work with that.
That hashtag humble diva.
Hey.
Just saying. Yeah. Well, I'm really glad that we're doing our podcast today. And I'm excited about our topic because, we like to really keep it real. And the way we wanted our podcast to feel was like people to have that opportunity to just really listen into us having our conversations that we have. And I feel like over the last, 20 episodes-ish, that's really what it's been. Yeah. I mean, I know for the first several, we were both a little nervous and uncomfortable and felt awkward and stuff. But the topic that we were going to cover today is just so perfect with our timing of our weeks that we both had, which is calling ourselves out.
Right.
Calling ourselves
and
out.
Basically, it's really easy to give advice. It's much harder to follow your own advice. Like they always say, doctors make the worst patients, or, therapists usually have the worst issues because they don't have them to help them through the things.
Yeah.
And I think it's important sometimes that even though that we are coaching and mentoring and teaching people different things, we're still human. Yeah. And sometimes when we're the ones in the situations, it's really difficult to take our own advice. And so we thought it might be fun, in a sense, to call ourselves out a little bit and just say, I know in practice that doing this would be the best thing to do. But when I got myself in that situation, it's a lot harder. It's always easier to say it than to actually do it.
So much. Do you want to start? Do you want to tell me and all of our amazing fans, listeners, viewers, tribe?
I'm just going to let her keep rambling off words.
Peeps.
As you know, I don't come prepared with a list of topics.
Do you want to talk about your week, or do you want me? Where do you want to go?
I'm not sure. My week, this is one of those weeks that for everybody seems to have been a little bit crazy. Yeah. I talk about this a lot, the way, and it happens from, I would say, pretty much all business owners, is that the work fluctuates. You're going to have very slow times and very busy times. And for me, unfortunately, it seems there's no in between. Everything happens all at the same time or not at all. And I will never complain about the all at once times because that means I'm working and I'm busy and that's all good. But it's very easy to get overwhelmed when everything falls at the same time. And I'm on a shoot here on location for 3 days, but I'm also post-supervising a video that's due this day. And oh, by the way, I'm also producing another video that's also due the same day. And I have all my regular clients in between, and there's a lot of big events coming up and they need things last minute. And there's only so much of me to go around. And I'm grateful that they're all wanting me. And
you're very wanted.
I am very wanted. Thank you.
I would like you to try to figure out how to clone yourself.
Maybe. I don't know if the world needs two of me.
Well,
one's enough. One's enough.
Yeah, one's good. But I wouldn't mind it just for my own, so in case you're busy and you have to go do all that busy stuff. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to hang out with you, I could still hang out with you.
Now, am I a full-size clone or am I a pocket version?
I want
that you can just carry around with you.
I want a pocket version because then you wouldn't eat as much dessert.
Truth.
I feel like here is a little tiny piece of this cake.
Way to call me out on my dessert eating, Melissa Moats. But she is absolutely right. But the thing is, I don't ever advise anybody not to partake in desserts. So I'm not being hypocritical there.
No, you're not. I
just really love my dessert.
I know. I love it.
How was your week? What happened in your week?
Well, my week was it was pure madness. And so here it was beautiful madness. It was glorious madness. And I'm very thankful also for all of the amazing things that I get to do and be a part of. But I will say that, I do voiceover every day, and that's just a normal part of my day between auditioning and doing voiceover projects and then tending to our studio and all the other things that we do. But it was like this week, someone turned on the voiceover faucet full blast. We are entering into my busiest season of the year because I'm a heavy commercial voice actor. I'm doing a lot of ads for Black Friday sales, and actually, it's been really funny because I was saying how in one day I would do Halloween spots, and then I'd be talking about Christmas trees, and then I'd be talking about, Thanksgiving and Black Friday sales. And I was like, I don't even know which holiday to be excited about. And I'm conflicted. It's kind of like the equivalent of walking into Target or, Costco or whatever. And on one aisle, they have all the pumpkins. And then in the other aisle, they have all the like holiday decor for, Christmas time. And I was just like, man, I don't know how. I love all of those seasons, but blending them, somebody called it last night. Who was I with? Somebody called it, they had like a hollow, what do they call it? Hal thanks Christmas or something. They blended all of it'll come to me. It was funny. I totally ruined that. I should have.
Yeah, a little
Sorry,
bit.
guys.
That's
Sorry,
okay.
guys.
You're only human.
I'm being
and it's very difficult to be human. We were discussing that earlier.
Hello, thanks, miss.
Hello, thanks, miss.
Yes.
There you go.
That's what she called it. And I thought that was very funny. And I was like, ha, ha, ha. That's good.
Is that how you laughed when you heard it?
It's been a long week. But yeah, so I just was trying to keep up with everything. I was just trying to stay afloat. And I did not get to go to Pilates at all this week. Mm-hmm. I only did my walk twice. I ate terribly. One day I opted for golden Oreos for lunch.
Oh no.
And I was like, you know what? There is a scientific fact that when you're very, very tired, you will crave carbs, not the good kind, but like sugar. You'll crave sugar. There's a hormone in your body that gets released when you're extremely tired. And so you crave sugary foods and junk food. Well, I am absolutely living proof that is true because all week I ate really crappy. And it was just one of those things where I did not take any of my own advice that I like to share and inspire people to try to follow. And for the most part, I do feel like I'm very disciplined, and I do take my own advice as my habit, my habits, my behaviors. But when it comes to sometimes just things are not going to go the way that you plan them. I didn't get to go put gas in my car on Sunday.
Oh no.
I didn't get to grocery shop. I didn't get to do any of my rituals. I've been like a fish out of water all week. So I just want to say that life is going to throw you curveballs, which we all know and we all get them, have them at times. But I think you just got to make the best of it and do the best you can.
And sometimes forgive yourself for not, because we can't always do it. And that's part of it. We might know inherently that this is what we're supposed to do, but there's times when it's just not possible.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how my week was too. I did go to Pilates. I had to miss one day because I was on a shoot and I couldn't make it to any classes. But when I'm on a shoot like that, especially when I'm on set for a few days, food becomes really, really tricky because you don't always know if there's going to be a place. If I brought my own lunch, there's not always a place to store it. Our lunch breaks, sometimes you're working 10, 12-hour days, so lunch breaks are not at the normal times. And sometimes you just have to eat when you get a chance, even if you're not hungry. It's like there's food there, you better eat it because you don't know when you're not going to be able to do it next. And as we've talked about on here a lot, I like to make my own food. I don't like to go out to eat. I just like to be in control of my food. But I have to let go of that control when I'm on set because whatever's provided is what I can eat. And I usually have, like a protein bar or something that I know is vegetarian friendly for those times when there's nothing for people like me to eat, which happens. People just forget or it's just not available. But after a few days of that, it starts to really wear on me that it's not a choice. I didn't choose to miss Pilates and eat poorly and on a weird schedule, but sometimes you're forced to do that. So it's a reminder though, okay, I was off track for a few days, time to get back on track. And
well, and then it kind of reminds you of how much comfort too is in your daily routine. It's like, man, if you have a daily routine that really helps you be productive and helps your body run like the amazing, machine that it is by putting great food in it and resting and drinking water and doing all those awesome things. Man, things can work really well for you and you feel good. But I just want to say that when you eat bad, you feel bad. And when you don't get enough sleep, you feel bad.
There's a lot of bad feeling going on.
But those golden Oreos, they got me really far. For like an hour, I was on a sugar rush. I was getting so much done, but that crash was not good. Yeah. It was not good. But yeah, I definitely think that getting the sleep and eating the good food is really important. And I know you were just saying earlier, we had a coffee date today before our podcast shoot. You were saying how you were just so happy today just to eat your food at home. And it was so amazing.
The little things. Yesterday was the first day that I actually got to eat lunch at home, my own lunch that I made with the food that I prepared. And just that, sitting down at home, because I didn't have to leave the house anywhere except for Pilates yesterday. And it was playing catch up on all the other things that I had missed for the 3 days that I was gone. But just that sitting down at lunch and eating my food, I felt the sigh of relief. It's been a fairly stressful week because it's been hectic and the things keep coming and you have to be able to handle them all. And that's one of those things where it's easy when you're on the outside looking at somebody else's situation. You're like, just take it one step at a time and break it down into little chunks and prioritize and just breathe deeply and don't stress out about it and don't overthink things when you're in it. And that's one of the things I will always call myself out on is I am an overthinker. I can think.
You can think me under the table.
Man. And it's a strength sometimes, and it was an absolute weakness at others. It just kind of depends. Sure. But that's one of those big things. But I like to think that it's that I try to keep that self-awareness to where if I'm out of something or I'm acting in a way that I feel is against my own advice, I try to figure out why.
Sure.
And it's really tricky sometimes. It's hard to take your own advice.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to be objective. It's hard to look inward especially when you're in it. And especially if you're tired, if you're eating crappy, if you're stressed, or if something unexpected happens that, really kind of throws you off your A game. It's hard to just be really level-headed and reason with yourself and be like, let's get to the root cause of this problem.
Right.
And let's stay super zen about it. But no, I mean, it can be done, but it's not easy. I like how my brain works when I'm well rested. It's a lot better.
It does work better. At least my brain does. But sometimes you just don't have the choice.
Yep. Well, I think calling yourself out and, being able to say, hey, look, I don't always take my own advice. I do my best. I make mistakes too. I have rough weeks. It just comes with the territory. And I think when you just kind of own it and go, today was a bad day, or today was a rough day, or today I'm exhausted, the beauty is there's tomorrow, and you can hit the reset button tomorrow and, just do the best you can.
Right.
And like my sister was a sweetheart the other night. We were talking. I was on my way to teach, and I had a really long day. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I ate this today, and I feel horrible. I haven't eaten any good food." And she's like, "You know what?" She's like, "Just for the rest of the night," she's like, "just be kind to yourself. Eat an apple or eat like a salad or something that's going to make you feel good." And she's like, "And then tomorrow, you're going to start all over again and just choose to put something really good in your body tomorrow." And I was like, yeah. And just hearing her say that, I was like, that was so nice. Thanks, sis.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sometimes that's all you need, though, too, is that reassuring word from somebody else that says, it's okay. You maybe fell behind a little bit today, but you can make it up tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's good to have another motivator on your team.
It is.
So is there anything that you repeatedly go against your own advice on? And that's the reason I ask. Like, I'll call myself out on it first. It's kind of in that vein of what you were just talking about, having the supportive person.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the support network. I think it's very important to have people that you can bounce your business ideas off of, that you can vent to if you're having a bad day or a particularly difficult client, which I may have had this week. But it's different things. But I have a very hard time letting people in. I don't like to admit, because I'm always trying to find the good in everything and that positive thing in the lesson, I don't even like to tell people the negative stuff, because then I feel like, oh no, because they expect me to be the positive one. So if I'm now focusing on this negative thing, it's going against everything I say, which it's not. We can be aware of the negative things and we should share them in the appropriate setting. It's just not holding on to them. And I don't hold on to it. But I'm very aware that there is a need for me to present myself in the best way. And I have everything together. I don't need any help. I've got it all figured out. That's the image that I like to put out there. And it's pretty accurate. I'd like to say humble diva, right?
Yes.
but for the most part, I really like my life and I really enjoy it. And I think it's good. Yeah. But I'm human. And there are times when I would benefit from opening up and saying, you know what, I'm really struggling with this thing, but I don't know how to do it. And so for me, and then I see other people doing that, it's like, you need to talk to somebody. You need to let somebody know what you're going through. Because sometimes just once you verbalize it and get it out of your head, especially if you're an overthinker, that is what allows you to breathe a sigh of relief and have some clarity and then move on with it. Yeah. But that for me is the hardest part, the hardest advice to take, because I don't want to bother anybody with my stuff. Right. And I do like to handle it on my own. I have a certain process, and because I think not a lot of people think the same way I do. So they a lot of times try to offer advice that I'm not really looking for. And they approach it from how they would do it instead of really knowing me, which I think is normal.
Right. Well, I think there's a lot to be said for sometimes just being a good listener and not offering up any advice if someone's not asking for it. Right. It's just saying, I care about you and I know you're having a rough time and I'm just here to listen. Right. And Amanda McEwen, I'm just here to listen.
Thanks, Melissa Modes.
You're welcome. And anytime.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, is once people try to start fixing it, because it's usually not what I'm looking for. No. If I want advice, I will ask for it.
Right.
A lot of times people want, and it comes from a good place, they want to offer their suggestions.
Because people want to fix it.
Right.
Especially because it's so rare for you to say like, oh my gosh, this is happening, or I'm having a hard time with this or that or the other. Because you are always so that, eternal optimist, and you're the person who is really good at fixing things, and you're very logical, and you're a really good problem solver, and all those are amazing qualities. But sometimes it's okay to just kind of say like, I got to get this off my chest,
This week I was told I was too logical by somebody.
In
the exact setting that my logic is a huge strength. It was turned against me. And that was at one time when I actually realized, because I started talking to some people on the crew, And I realized, like, look at me, like I'm actually opening up and I'm sharing my feelings with these people on the crew, because if I don't, I'm going to snap at this person, and that's never good for anybody. It takes a lot to get me to that point, and it was close. And then I started laughing, and then of course they said, I think that even if you were mad, nobody would really be able to tell you were mad. And it's like, yeah, pretty much, because it's like a slightly elevated, maybe a less smile than
Right.
it's not
It's
a
more of
normal
a
person's
relaxed
mad at
smile
all, right?
and a relaxed brow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I know how
It doesn't,
you roll.
I think the last time I was truly mad and like angry and yelled was like 10, 12 years ago. It's been a really long, I don't know. I can't even keep track.
Should have marked it on the calendar so you could reference that.
Yeah.
No, but you know what? You're very even keel. You are really logical. You are really just awesome to work with. But
Thank you.
sometimes, like you said, just saying it out loud when something's bothering you, or just hearing yourself say it and setting it free
Right.
is a good, it's kind of a good way to just purge it, you know?
Right.
It's like, I got to get this thing out. I got to get this out of me.
Yeah.
So good. Well, I'm glad that you did.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Your turn.
My turn. I would say one of the things that I repeatedly do that I always really work hard to improve on is I just put way too much stuff on my plate. And
What?
I am
Miss,
like,
I can do all the things.
I can do all the things. And, you know, I think I have really good intentions, and I do usually get all the things done, but I'm really terrible with my ridiculously optimistic timelines. My timelines are like fairy tale land timelines a lot of times with things. And I think it's just because I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that by this time. But I never give up. It's like one of those things where if I do set like a new project on my plate or something I'm really excited to learn about or implement, whether it's in my voiceover world or the studio world or something with our podcast or whatever, I get pumped about it. But I definitely just pack a lot in and on, and it's overflowing, and it's never ending, and it's probably not going to anytime soon.
I don't foresee it happening.
I don't either.
I don't.
Because just as soon as I feel like I'm remotely caught up, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm good. Somebody give me more, you know? It's like another helping of mashed potatoes. Psh, give it to me.
It's kind of, I see this with you, but I feel it's kind of how the universe works. You know, when they say when you're decluttering, like you should get rid of some stuff to open up room for new stuff.
Yes.
And I feel like that's what happens is you get to a point, like you just got back from that cruise and you're like, I'm going to get through my inbox. I'm going to get caught up on all my emails, and you got caught up on all the emails, but then there was space for more. And so your fairy squirrels or whatever that you have looking over you, they're cartoons of whatever. They just sprinkled it like, oh, your inbox is empty? He.
Yeah.
Here's some voiceover work for you, Melissa. Here's this. Oh, hey, those podcast descriptions, I need those now.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, could you share this Instagram story? And could you do this? And, oh, you've got plenty of time, Melissa. This person needs a one-on-one with you because they need this. And, oh, the studio needs your attention right now. I could keep going.
Yeah. And building the schedule for the whole next year.
Yeah. Because,
yeah. So I'll be open enough and candid enough to say that a couple months ago, I was really going hardcore overboard, and I started having some chest pains.
Oh.
And I didn't realize that I was being so hard on my poor body and my poor mind until I had a couple of little, you know, little these right here. I'm touching my middle of my chest. I was feeling little heart palpitations and little pains. So I went to see my doctor, and I was like, hey, just making sure I'm not having a heart attack. And they're like, your heart is amazing. You have the heart of a runner. And I was like,
your heart is very amazing, Melissa.
Thank you very much for that. And the doctor was very kind and said, do you run? And I said, I power walk. And they said, you have the heart of a runner. And I guess I have really good heart. And I said, thank you. And my heart was okay. They said, are you under any kind of stress of any kind? And you know what I said? No.
But
No.
sometimes you don't feel it, though.
I didn't.
You don't feel it, but your body is telling you otherwise.
So that was a really good clue. And that was why I thought it was worth bringing up. And shame on me, for, putting myself through ridiculous amounts of to-do lists. 'Cause, I like me some to-do lists. But the really good thing, though, the learning in it was I did listen to my body. I did go see my doctor. I did realize that it was just stress talking to me. And I've been doing better. I've been adjusting some things other than this week. This week was sort of like outside of my control.
Right.
There were just a lot of, when it rains, it pours with clients, and you work so hard to get these relationships, and you want to come through for everybody when they need you, you know? And you also, for me, I just want to make it look like it's effortless to my clients. I don't want my clients to know I'm stressed out. And
they never should.
Yeah, and they don't need to know that. But I'm in my own home studio going, I don't know how I'm going to get all this stuff done. My voice is like giving out on me because a bunch of the stuff that I was voicing was like really high energy. And my voice was just like, hey, Melissa Moats, like take it down a couple notches. But anyway, I think it's just a matter of putting too much on my plate sometimes and being aware of it and trying to balance things better. And it's always a balancing act, and listening to my body. And it's a good thing to do, is to see what your body's telling you.
Yeah. And you mentioned how it was out of your control. And that's another one that I think is for me. I like to be in control. I like to control things. But I also understand that some things you can't control, and so you just have to accept them how they are.
Yeah.
And that's another one. I don't have a specific example at the exact moment, but I know that that's a big one for me. It's that I do want to, I feel like I have the power to control things quite a bit. And a lot of that comes because I do think that to some degree, your habits, your mindset, in a sense, do control what happens in your life. Not to any specific degree, not like if I think this way or I act one thing, then this specific thing is going to happen. But sometimes situations are just completely out of your control. And you can't do anything about it other than just accept it. Figure out, okay, well, did I learn something? I don't know. I just have to accept that this is what it is now. And then I have to keep going and focusing on what I can control. And that can be really difficult when you're like me, which is, I don't know the right word for it. It's not that I'm a control freak. I definitely am not. I don't have to be in control and in charge of everything. There, those people that they not only want to be in control of their lives, but they also want to be in control of your lives and everybody around them. Yeah. I'm not one of those. And in my job, it's worked really well because I can take over and be the person in charge. As a producer, a lot of times I have a lot of control, but sometimes I'm not there to be in charge. Sometimes I'm there to support the person who's in charge. And I can do that without any ego of saying, I'm just here in a support role. Like sometimes I like that because it's less stress on me. I'm not the one that has to make all the big decisions.
Right.
But I also find it very ironic. I was telling somebody this the other day. My job requires me to make decisions constantly and quickly, and just they have to be well thought out in a very short period of time. And I just have to make these decisions constantly. But when it comes to my personal life, I don't know what I want to eat. Don't ask me where I want to go because I don't know. I can't make a simple decision like, what do you want to eat? I cannot do it. I don't use the word can't.
I think it's because you use up all of your decision passes.
Yes.
You have all these. It's like if I were to give you a stack of like, here's a bunch of decisions you have to make.
Right.
You use them all on really like logical, productive things.
Right.
But then you run out of those decision passes. So that when it's time for you to like, Amanda McEwen, where do you want to eat? You're just like, your hands are empty. You ran out.
And really,
you used them all up.
It's a thing that I'm completely indifferent about. So, and most people care. So it's like, you just pick a place and I'm going to be fine. But it happened the other day, because I just wanted a tea, and it was late at night, or not late at night, but it was in the evening. So it had to be decaf. In this little cafe that we went to, there were only two choices. And my mind went blank. It's like I just had to pick which tea. I think it was between mint or chamomile. And I just stopped. I said, I don't know. Like, can you just pick one for them?
Pick one for me.
Yeah. So it's funny though. Like sometimes it just gets to that simplest, like the big important decisions, those are easy, but the little tiny ones that have no impact on the world, like which kind of tea I want, can't do it.
Well, we all get to a point where our brains get tired. And, really, if you are making a lot of decisions in a day and, or in a week, and you're good at making decisions and making those quickly and efficiently. And then, you start to get a little brain fatigue going on. Deciding on chamomile or mint can be a big deal.
I ended up with the mint, in case you care.
I do care.
Yeah.
I figured it was going to be
It's a
mint.
good call.
It is.
But it is that control thing, and it kind of ties into one of the big pieces of advice that I think we both agree to is like when you have too much on your plate as a business owner, you have to delegate.
Yeah.
And that for a lot of us, and I'm definitely one of those, it's really hard to give up that control and trust somebody else with it.
My biggest thing is I really do try to delegate. But I will say that most people's follow through sucks.
Right.
And that's the hardest part for me is because so many people have good intentions and I know they love me and I know they care about me and I'll say, hey, and this isn't you, you're the one person that I know I'm not Amanda McEwen has never, ever let me down. But it's one of those things where I think a lot of people are like, no, let me help you with that. Or I want to do that. I want to take that on for you. And then I'm like reluctant and I'm like, okay. And then the ball gets dropped. And then it's actually then twice the amount of work and time and energy to kind of like figure all that out and fix that. And so I do have that mindset oftentimes where I'm like, I'm just going to do it myself, or I'm going to get a hold of you. Hey, Amanda McEwen.
But it's really hard thing to do because if you're delegating, you first have to take the time to explain to the new person what you do in the way that you do it, because the hope is that they're going to take it on and approach it from the same way you do. So you have to spend extra time. And the reason you're delegating is you don't have enough time. And it's really easy to get stuck in that, you know what, I don't have time to teach somebody else, so I'm just going to do it myself. And it's one more thing you add onto your plate. And I've seen this in business my entire life. And it's like, well, at some point, if you don't take the time to show somebody else, it's just going to keep piling up. And now you're going to be in way over your head and something is going to fall through the cracks. And then a lot of things are. And that's when mistakes happen, is there's just too much. But it's really hard to trust somebody, especially in these days when your personal brand is a big part of business. To get somebody else, like I always think about it, and I know we talk about it a lot, so it's no secret to anybody that I'm not a huge fan of social media. But I do understand that it's important. And the more I do and the more results I see, I get that it does work to some degree. I would love to delegate that to somebody else because I don't want to do it. And it's really hard for me to find the time because I have things that seem more important. But for me to trust somebody to do that for me, they have to know, like somebody that's writing for you is not going to have, there's a certain way that you write, and we all know that you and I are opposites, and you can always tell on the podcast social media which posts I write and which you do. It's very obvious by the language. If there's a y'all in there, it's not me. And if there's a super
Why not,
looking
Amanda? I can't believe you wouldn't put a y'all in there.
There's just differences. But if I'm trying to get somebody to do it, they have to understand me and the way I think
Your brand.
and represent me. Just like if somebody's doing it for you,
no, it's very
they
true.
need to be able to write in your tone, and that's a hard thing to teach somebody.
It's very hard. And you know what else I noticed too is that you and I choose very different emojis for things.
I'm not a big emoji user.
I know.
Oh, that's what it is? I know. Occasionally I'll find one, but I
love a good emoji to express myself. I've really been into the sunglasses guy lately.
Okay.
I don't know. I've been feeling a little cooler
what
than
does
usual.
He mean?
Just sometimes it's just like me being like, that's cool. Or I don't know. I don't know why. I just feel like he's been really capturing the essence of something I want to say via text.
Okay.
I'm the sunglasses emoji right now, guys.
All right. Hey, she's laid back and cool.
And I just want to throw out a shout out to all of our amazing y'all,
y'all.
viewers and listeners, that if you're really great at social media, give us a call.
Don't call for social media. That just goes completely against what it is. Good job. But
Call Amanda.
While she's laughing and waiting for her phone to ring, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Womanpreneur Pod, or on Facebook as the Womanpreneur Podcast.
Just for the sake of argument.
Or you can call Melissa. She loves to talk on the phone.
They have to go on their phone to do all those things that you just mentioned.
But they're not calling.
But it's kind of it's new slang for all of that.
It's what?
Call is slang for what you just described.
Okay.
I just developed that.
Okay.
Hopefully it catches on.
We'll see how that goes.
I'm setting a trend.
Yeah.
No, I know.
But yes, please interact with us. We're trying. Neither of us is social media experts. So if you want to follow us and give us some tips, or post some stuff that we can share so it's less work for us, it'd be great.
Yeah, we're really we're doing our best, and
we're getting better. We're getting, we're learning how stories work, and we seem to get a lot of attention there. So
yeah, people like our stories.
Yeah. Hey.
And
they're easier. They're faster. We have some younger people who are teaching us how to do it, so it's good.
Yeah, it's really nice when you have a 20-something who's like, "Hey, come here, give me your phone." And make all this stuff just happen so quickly. Mm-hmm. And then we're like, what did you just press?
Right.
What did you do? No, I love it. Well, I think calling yourself out is a healthy part of a balanced life. And
are you a cereal commercial now?
Yes.
That's what that sounded like to me, but I like it.
It's thank you.
Yeah.
No, I know. It's funny because I can feel myself today. I'm a little tired. There have been times when we've done our podcast shoot, and it was like a day where it's the end of the week. I was so tired. I didn't eat before. I was, just exhausted. And we've done our podcast shoot. And those are the ones that I listen back to myself, and I'm tons of ums and uhs. And I had like really low energy for me. And I just remember like thinking, man, I shouldn't have done that. And now, like when we do our podcast shoot, I always try to like make sure that before I do the podcast shoot with you, I have a chance to have lunch, and I definitely like feel relaxed and rested, and I'm able to focus and really think. But there's a lot to be said for that, It
is. And we've tried, and here's another perfect example. We had noticed that early on. We're like, okay, because our goal here has always been we record 2 episodes every week. And part of that in the beginning was we wanted to get ahead while we were figuring all this stuff out to make sure that we had some kind of idea what we were doing. And so we went way ahead, and things were really great, and we got ahead, and then we kind of figured out, okay, but when we're doing it every single Friday, it starts to weigh on us a little bit just because there is so much other stuff doing. And now we're basically taking the whole Friday afternoon every week away from other stuff. And that's when it's slower for both of us with our regular stuff, but it's still a good chunk of the day every week. And maybe we don't have as much energy, and maybe we're getting tired of seeing each other, which doesn't really happen. But there is a different energy when we haven't seen each other for a week.
We get really giddy.
Yes.
If we skip a week, we're like,
right.
And we have like so much more to say.
Yeah. So we had gotten in that habit, and we're like, okay, we're far enough ahead now. We can dial back. And this one had to go out and be on a cruise for like a month, and all of our head start went completely away. And now at this point, we had like 2. We're only 2 ahead, and that makes me nervous because I like to be far ahead.
Yes.
We have a bunch recorded. They're not fully finished, and that's really irrelevant anyway. But the point was, like, so now that she's back, and we know that at the time that this is airing, we're pretty much, I think, in December already. But at the time we're recording it, December is coming up really fast. And like Melissa said earlier, this is her busiest season for voiceover. So we're trying again to record every week so we can get ahead. So if we need to take a couple weeks off, or even all of December off, we don't know how it's going to happen, that we're still prepared and we're not putting ourselves in a bad situation. So it's kind of, we know that it would be better if we didn't record every week, but we also know it wouldn't be better if we ran out of episodes. So we're kind of meeting in the middle, but in a sense, like there's reason for it, but it's also, we're kind of going against our advice and trying to cram these in every week to make sure that we're far enough ahead.
Yeah. So that's us calling ourselves out on our podcast shooting style. And
if we seem sleepy, that's why.
Because
it's okay.
we are.
Forgive us, please.
You know what? Today, I'm just saying it like it is. I am tired right now. I'm sitting here feeling like these lights, I'm really glad these lights are pointing at my face, because otherwise I might fall asleep. I definitely feel like I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad we're doing this. I looked forward to it, but I don't have my sharpest mind in my best jokes available today.
Well, that's kind of perfect timing to do this episode, though, because again, like, it comes back to that we're all human. And so I feel like there are a lot of people who have podcasts or who write self-help books, or the people who are out there as experts in their fields. Oh, and we're getting some kind of salt. Is that the Sex and the City theme?
Yeah.
That was Brent's phone, by the way. Yeah, just gonna put that out there. But I don't know why that was so funny to me, because the unexpected. I was saying something. I don't recall what I was saying to
You were saying that this was the best week.
Yeah, that's what it was. There are a lot of other people out there with podcasts or the self-help books or the experts out there who aren't willing to show their shortcomings. Yeah. And they're not willing to admit that I don't have it all together all the time. And I think those are the people I get turned off of really fast, because I don't believe it. It's you are an expert and you should definitely share that with people. But sometimes learning through not showing your best, if that makes any sense. Like there's times when if you want to be relatable to somebody, you have to be on that same level. Sometimes it's like, I don't have all the answers. I think I have good knowledge base. I have good experience. I have a lot to share. There are times that I get hit with a situation and it's, I maybe I don't know how to handle this one, or maybe I didn't handle it the best that I could have. Yeah. But I'm going to learn from it and move on to the next one. But we always feel on this podcast, it's important to share
the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah. And if we're sleepy sometimes, maybe we don't look our best, maybe we don't sound our best.
I want to just put it out there that there were days this week where I was just like, a shower is not in my future today. And I was like, well, what are you going to do? Yeah.
I was telling you earlier, there's been a few days this week and just like I have time. Well, I always have time to shower, but I have to shower. That's part of my wake up. But I could either dry my hair or I can just let it do what it's going to do. And it doesn't always look
I like your little cute flip.
Thank you.
You got a cute flippy flip.
Well, it's cute flippy flip. My hair. So what my hair does, it's completely uneven. So it kind of flips and it's kind of wavy, but it's kind of folded and it just does weird things. It doesn't always look great. But there are times when it's
I think it always looks great.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
We're being on camera and there's times when I have to be like, you know what? I'm going to shower, but then however my hair decides it wants to be that day, that's how it's going to be.
So be it.
And I'm all right with it.
So be it.
That's all.
But I did miss Pilates this week. One other thing I did want to say was not going to Pilates this week and not getting my walks in also really impacted the way I felt all day. Yes. My body, I can feel it in my body.
Oh yeah.
Like that I'm kind of like my back's tight and I don't know. I love my walk in the morning.
Yeah.
And we did say earlier, and I just want to touch on it one more time, was when you have a really great routine that you love and you build your life the way you feel your best in, you really do notice when you break that routine and it's so comforting to come back to your routine.
Yes.
So
feels like home.
I know.
It was because I don't feel usually on these big production days for me, I don't feel that bad about missing Pilates because I'm on my feet all day. I'm getting plenty of activity.
Yeah.
But it's a different kind. And I really love Pilates, as everybody knows. But it is when I went on Thursday, even though I was exhausted from the week, and there wasn't really a thought of maybe I should skip it. It was more just, I don't know if I'm going to be able to give my full effort to this class, but I'm going to just show up and see what I can do. Yeah. And I got there and I was very tired and I just felt it. Like I was all drained I didn't want to even like talk to a person because I just didn't have anything left from being social all week. I didn't have anything left to say. So I was just like, I just want to go in and I'm going to go do my workout and I'm just going to like try to be silent. But sometimes it's what you have to do. But I think that really the overall thing that we're trying to say is that nobody has it all figured out all the time. Nobody always does the things that they want to. We all give advice. And it's sometimes it's actually, I would say usually hardest to take your own advice, but it's acknowledging when you don't do it, having that self-awareness or learning from it, or just getting back and say, you know, I fell out of my routine. It's time to get back in there, and then be appreciative for all those things that you, when you do know better, and then you say, oh, maybe I should have listened to myself. I actually knew what I was talking about.
Right. It's kind of neat though, the whole self-awareness thing. The more you do really kind of observe your own behaviors and your own patterns. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that too. Like if certain things are just not serving you well, it's like, okay, why isn't this working? Why do I keep getting this one negative outcome? It could be a work-related thing or being organized or being disorganized or just something in your life that keeps showing up that's not working. It's like, okay, why isn't it working? And just look at it and get real with it and say, okay, well, let me try a vastly different approach, to this and see if you can, take that bad outcome in a whole new direction. But anyone you think has everything all figured out and, has everything perfect in their life and whatever, they don't. None of us do. We all have our like you said, our shortcomings.
And there's a strength in admitting it.
Yeah.
And I think it always comes back to being honest with yourself, because you can't really grow and change and be the person you want to be if you're not being truthful to yourself. Yeah. And sometimes that means telling everybody, hey, I messed up, or
and owning it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes things have to get ugly before they get prettier.
It's true. Sometimes
stuff just has to get out of control. You should see my office right now. It's freaking me out. That's another thing that I have to say out loud. It's going to make me feel better. I like everything to be like immaculate and like my desk to be perfectly clear. Everything is just, I'm very particular with how I like everything to be when I'm in my office working. I got stacks of mail. I've got stuff, and anybody else who's just normal would walk in my office and be like, wow, this office is really clean. And I'd be like, no, this is ridiculous right now. It's out of control. I have to clean it this weekend or I'm not going to be able to have a good week next week.
I had something similar, but I took the whole pile and I stuck it in a drawer so you can't see it from the outside.
That's so bad.
But I know that it's in there. And I'll get to it eventually. And then I'll be like, why didn't you just do this? Because I'm always saying, if it's going to take you less than 5 minutes to do it, just do it now. But I didn't do it now. I let it pile up and then I stuck the pile in a drawer. And when it comes time to take care of it, it's going to take me more than 5 minutes. But at that time, I'm going to laugh and I'm going to remember this and say, okay, should have taken your own advice.
Yeah. Well, sometimes our shortcomings include not taking our own advice in a big way. But do you want me to do the wrap up now? She was making fun of me earlier today at coffee.
Well, the same awkward endings. I put awkward in quotes because some people like them. I just think they're funny. But we just had we mentioned our coffee date, but it was with our friend Trisha Kirk, who you might remember from one of our earlier episodes. But Melissa did an awkward wrap up of our coffee date.
She was making fun of me because we were getting ready. I said, hey girl, you think we ought to get rolling here soon? And Amanda's like, yeah, for sure. And so Trisha was sitting across from me and I was like, so Trisha, it was really great seeing you. I said, I'm really glad we had a chance to catch up. And Amanda's just sitting laughing, right? And Trisha looks over at Amanda like, what's so funny? And Amanda's like, oh, Melissa's just doing her wrap up. She does this wrap up thing. And I was like, yeah, way to call me out. Thank you. So where we're going with this is we're really glad you tuned in. We really appreciate you following us on social media. We really are glad that we are all human and can call ourselves out on our shortcomings.
Can I make a suggestion?
Oh,
And
please do.
Brent's making a suggestion.
What is, for each of you, what is the call to action you would like people to do?
What is the call to action we would
Either
like
for the
people to
podcast
do?
or just for themselves. It's up to you.
Oh, well, if for the podcast, it's please follow us on social media and leave a review.
Yeah. We really do need reviews.
We need reviews on Apple Podcasts. And the reason it's not just because we want to know if you like us, it's that people who don't know us, as they're scrolling through and figuring out what they want to listen to, they are going to read that, and that helps them decide if they want to listen to us or not. So
that does
a lot
really
of you like to comment to us privately that you're getting a lot out of the podcast, and we love that and we appreciate it. But we kind of need you to tell other people too.
Yeah, it helps. And then my call to action to all of you is to just take a second and realize, something that you can call yourself out on, and then call yourself out on it, and then give yourself a hug.
That's a very Melissa Moats piece of advice.
But
I agree with it, because my call to action for the people individually is that it's if there is something, find something, because again, we're talking about being honest. What is one thing that you are maybe not taking your own advice about? Call yourself out on it, laugh about it maybe, and then forgive yourself for it and figure out what you can do next.
Bless it and release it.
There you go.
Move on. And you can also do a quick high five. Watch. High five yourself, because Amanda McCune won't play. And see you next time.
Thanks for tuning into the Womanpreneur podcast. Until next time, you've got this.